All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Ali. I'm a grateful alcoholic. You guys can hear me okay? Yes? Perfect. Beautiful. Alika, thank you, brother, for your gracious invitation and for your kind introduction, and to Uncle Tommy and everyone else who's a service at this group. Thank you so much for keeping this meeting on. You guys are like us. You're one of the meetings that started at the beginning of the pandemic, and you're still going on serving the community and just appreciate you very much. So thank you so much for the invitation. Huh. What do I want to share about? It's been a little bit challenging these days for me. It has to do with financial stuff. Like work is really, really slow, and I got a family to take care of, and doing the best that I can. And just sometimes the dis-ease of alcoholism visits me and starts to tell me when bills are starting to fall behind, starts to tell me that I'm not good enough. I'm not a real man, that I don't deserve to be a dad. And I'm just so grateful for you guys, for this community, because you guys set me straight. You guys lift my head up and point it to the ocean. You guys remind me that my job is to build a relationship with the ocean. You guys keep on telling me that see to it that your relationship with him is right, and great things come to pass for you and others. See, sometimes I fall asleep into the delusion that I start to worship the little rivers or the streams that come from the ocean, like this job, this career, everything external is just a river that comes from the ocean. And when I get focused on the river, I think it's going to dry out. What's going to happen to me? You know? But thank you for being there. Thank you for these steps in this community that spiritually speaking, sometimes literally you lift my head up and point it to the ocean. And this invitation is part of the lifting my head up and pointing to the ocean. Because that I get to come over here and talk about the miracles of Alcoholics Anonymous. I get to come over here and tell you guys that what a beautiful life I live when I'm awake to it. I'm awake to it most of the time. You know what I mean? I'm awake to it most of the time. The beauty of this program is that despite the financial difficulties and challenges, I walk with dignity and peace in my life on most days. On most days. I think that's the real message of Alcoholics Anonymous for me. A sober life packed with a deep sense of meaning and purpose. That's the real message of Alcoholics from my point of view. Deep sense of meaning and purpose. I've been walking with, as humbly as I possibly can, making a lot of mistakes. And my entire life I searched for that. Ever since I was a little kid, I searched for that in the external. I look for that peace, that love, that serenity, and the approval of kids on the street and the neighborhood, or extended family member attention, or that love of mom and dad, or accolades in school, relationships, jobs, acknowledgments, degrees. I've searched for that in those things. And then eventually I found the bottle. And I had an incredible spiritual experience. The bottle was a panacea to all my bills, all my problems. Dr. Bob talks about that. The medicine to everything, right? And then I chased that feeling, that God feeling, that peaceful feeling that I was describing to you earlier, in the bottom of bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle after bottle. Started to turn into broken-hearted bottle, broken psyche, broken bank account, suicidal bottle. Until this ease of alcoholism, the illness of alcoholism, just started to chew me up and spit me right in front of the gates of insanity and death. Don't know what to do with myself. I just wanted to kill myself and drink at you. That was my solution to everything. I don't know. It always comes out of me this way, this part of my experience, I guess. Like when I say that third dimension explanation of what happened to me, how I got introduced to you guys, it just doesn't mean anything. The only thing that has depth and weight, that means something to me, really, it's true for me, when I look back with a little bit clear spiritual eyes, is what at first seemed like a flimsy reed, was a powerful hand of this loving God that just grabbed me, caressed me, and just brought me to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And put some awakened people like you guys in my path, and a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous in my path. And you guys told me that, Ali, if you want to, we're not going to force you, only if you want to. If you situate yourself in the middle of the circle and triangle to the best of your ability, recovery, unity, and service, right? Meetings, steps, everything together. If you do that to the best of your ability, you will tap into a power that is going to revolutionize your way of life. So I have tapped into a power that has transformed my being. And I'm here to talk about that power. I'm here to tell you that I'm sober because of this loving power. I'm sober because of a loving God. I don't apologize for my relationship with God anymore. I don't feel the need to come and force it down anybody's throat either. It's just my experience. It's just my experience, you know? But I didn't land here like this. I landed here broken in every way you can imagine, broken and suicidal and unemployed and unemployable and unloved and unlovable and ugly. Just ugly. For 7 years, I was in and out of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. For 7 years, I had to experiment, do a lot of experimentations to show you guys that I'm not an alcoholic. I'll show you. I'm not like you. I just need the right girlfriend. I need love in my life. That'll fix me. I'm not like you. I just need the right job in my, you know? All those doors had to shut in my face, and they did. And I became humbled. I got humbled. I got surrendered. And I crawled back to you guys. Open-minded and open-hearted and off the debating society. And the long-timers just fed me and just fed me and just fed me with your love and your truth and your experience. You are the channels. Lord, make me a channel of your peace. You guys are the channels. And I got to follow a set of instructions, a design for living, if you would, on a continuous basis that has set me on fire, man. That has set me on fire last few years. I started drinking at the age of 16. Just in a general way, that's my instructions. In a general way, to let you know that for the first couple of years of my drinking, every time I drank, I felt like the world made sense and my skin fit into this body. You know, I felt the peace and the quietness of the mind. And then it turned on me. And then this huge world of potential that everyone always described that I seem to have, potential, ended up being very small in dark, grungy, dirty motel rooms in Southeast Toronto with bottles of vodka and all the ugliness that follows that kind of existence. Just wanting to die every minute of the day and not knowing what to do with myself, with this life. I'm an alcoholic because of the effect produced by alcohol. Alcohol filled that God-sized hole to such a degree that I could not stop, no matter how great the necessity or the wish. That is the baffling part of alcoholism. That's what the big book says, right? But every part of this illness terrifies me. The allergy terrifies me. The fact that I have a allergy to alcohol. My body reacts differently than 90% of the public apparently out there. When I drink, the drink takes a drink, the drink takes a drink, and the drink takes a drink, and I'm gone. And I cannot promise you when I'm going to stop. Usually when the bank account's done and I'm fired and I'm thrown out of the house and I'm homeless and I'm suicidal. Usually that's how it ends for me eventually, you know? And this allergy of the body explained many things for which I could not otherwise account. It explained the time after time where I would promise the girl that I was dating that I'm just going to go to the bar, just grab a couple of pints, watch the fights with the guys, and come back home. And I'm gone for 2 weeks. So explain that. It explained that. Explained many things. It's not that I'm stupid, that I'm weak, that I'm not a real man like my dad used to tell me. It's that I'm sick. I have an allergy of the body, right? See, this allergy of the body, this fact that when I take a drink, the drink takes a drink and then the drink takes everything away in my life, caused the death of everything in my life. And the physical death is the last death. I wish for it. I welcomed it. I tried it. It may not have been your story, but it's been mine. I've had many suicide attempts, many of them. The doctors say 4 or 5 of them are real and the other 5 were cries for help. Okay, whatever. They all felt real to me. After every single slashed wrist and after every single bottle of pills that I tried to down, after every single psych ward visit and after every single emergency room visit, usually my poor mom is at my bedside. Usually she was there. And she'd be bawling and crying her eyes out and don't drink, baby. Don't do this anymore, please. Okay, Ma, I promise you I won't do this anymore. Meaning with every fiber of my being and time after time after time after time breaking that lady's heart. Time after time after time after time breaking my own mother's heart. Not caring about anything. Cunning, baffling, and powerful, isn't it? But my brain, I can't trust it. My brain will always tell me a drink is an option. It will sell me a lie and I'll buy it. Meanwhile, I'm suffering from this spiritual malady, you guys said. You guys have given me the description and the words. I didn't know. I just didn't feel right, man. I was always afraid of what you think about me. I was never satisfied with the moment. There's always some destination to get to or something to achieve, and then I'll be okay. And when I get there sometimes, when I achieve it sometimes, after the novelty wears off, I'm still not okay. Confused by life. Spiritual malady that kept on telling me that I'm an alcoholic. You turned out to be an alcoholic who drinks like this and destroys his life because you were molested by those two 15-year-old kids when you were 8. You're an alcoholic because your dad beat you, because he's an addict, because you moved to Canada and you didn't speak a word of English. Because the kids beat you up. Because. Okay. All right. Then what about my younger sister? What about her? She went through this pretty much the same trauma in life as me. I hope not everything, but pretty much the same. Not an alcoholic, not an addict. Sure, she has some emotional problems, some wounds. Every human being does that she's trying to find solutions for. But to be an alcoholic, alcohol has to be the solution for me to such a degree that I cannot stay stopped. And that is so important. That's why the traditions are there. That's why the steps are there. That is so important. That's how we're effective with each other. But I'm not an alcoholic because what happened to me as a kid. I don't believe that story anymore. I'm wounded because of what happened to me as a kid. Because if I continue to buy that narrative and buy that story, I will continue to chase in the outside what I think the problem is, what I need, what needs to change for me to be okay. But that never worked. When I met you, beautiful people, you said, kid, the problem's not outside you, it's inside you. But guess what? We have some good news for you. So is the solution. Because deep down within every man, woman, and child, you told me, there's a fundamental idea of God, you told me. He's just a clean house, man. Get out the garbage. That's what you told me, you know? I wish I could show you when you're lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. That's what Hafiz says. That's what you guys told me in your own ways. And then you showed me. And then you showed me. I was so happy when I met you guys because I found a group of people that drank like me. I no longer felt alone in that way. You know what I mean? And I was sober for a little while, going to a lot of meetings and setting up a lot of chairs and really active at the group level, but dibble-dabbling in the steps, arguing about your God, arguing about the steps, knowing a lot. I knew a lot. Thank God I don't know that much anymore. After about 6 months of just happiness and joy being with my tribe that I've just found and sobriety, I haven't done any work. I've just been visiting you guys in meetings. Did this ease in me woke up and it started to tell me that I'm a loser. What am I doing with you guys? A drink would fix this. And I went and drank. That's when I went out for 7 years. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. My last drunk was not as bad as the 50 before then. I was renting a room in a men's recovery home in downtown Toronto, southeast Toronto. I went and drank just for one night. Not as bad as the hundreds before. One night, came back, passed out, came to an incredible amount of pain. It's like my brain was torturing me and my body was hurting, man. I just wanted to die and I just wanted to kill myself and I just wanted to drink. My knees got bent. I don't know how else to describe it. I think that's the best description that comes usually. My knees got bent. It's different than I bent my knees. Different. World of difference. A prayer came out of me is different than I prayed. I prayed many times before. My knees got bent. A prayer came out of me. Something like, God, whoever you are, whatever you are, can you just please help me not be like this anymore? Because I'm tired. I don't even know if you are, but if you are, I'm tired. Can you help me? What a beautiful prayer from a broken soul. I'm tired. Can you help me? Please. It's too much. From that prayer, one prayer, from a hurting soul, from a broken soul. God listens to his broken kids. I really believe so, man. It was as if like he, she, it, whatever, shined his light on me. And I just found my way back to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. He put a new teacher in my path, and this teacher opened the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with me, and I was taken through the big book line by line. I would identify if I could, if an action was directed for me to take an action, was my sponsor through the big book, we would move forward until that action was taken. And that's when I was set on fire. That's when I got free. That's when the lights turned on, man. Within a few short weeks, the lights turned on. The lights turned on. And there were times where I'd meditated on this. I believe the answer, the truth has come to me. I mean, that's my truth now. I meditated on the question that why? Why this time? Many times before that, I was introduced to the big book and you guys, but why this time? I believe two ingredients are very crucial for someone like me. One is the gift of desperation. It's a gift. It's bestowed upon me. So those 7 years of shame in and out, they were a gift to me. They served a purpose for me. They humbled me. Gift of desperation. Something we can't force anyone else to have. We have to just love them until they have their experience with it. Gift of desperation. And when the gift of desperation meets the window of the grace of God, magic happens. And when you sat at that window, armed with facts about yourself, and you knew that this is not an intellectual exercise, this is a spiritual endeavor. So instead, you poured your heart and your experience and your love on the pages of this book as I was taking you through the big book. And the big book, which is a couple of inches thick, became thousands of miles deep. And I was able to see myself in the pages of this book. It became alive to me. And I started to become free through the actions of these steps as outlined in the big book. Man, by the way, sometimes I feel like I have to say this. I don't know how you guys, but like when I share about transformation, I get excited a little bit sometimes because you get present to it, you know what I mean? But I don't ever want to like come across as, because that was my experience, that has to be yours exact same way. And if you don't, you're wrong. That's couldn't be further from the truth. You do the steps however your sponsor takes you through the steps. I hope they're in order, and I hope they're the ones of Alcoholics Anonymous that you have more success rate, right? I was taken through the big book, line by line. That's just my experience. That's just my experience, you know? The last few years I've been, to the best of my ability, the 12 and 12 says contemplation, self-examination, contemplation and prayer meditation. Self-examination, prayer meditation. That's all I've been doing. Self-examination, prayer meditation. Cultivating and deepening, fertilizing relationship with this loving God, with this inner resource. Experience after experience after experience that God is in my life. Moving from attempting communication with this power to communion with this power, to breathing this power, to living and walking this power. And words don't discard. These words, they're just like, they seem like mouth noises because they do not do justice, as you guys understand. They don't do justice, the experience, the pure experience of sitting with love, walking with love. They just don't do it justice. Clean house, trust God, help others. It's what I've been doing. Clean house, trust God, help others. What Dr. Bob said, what you guys keep telling me. Clean house, pray, meditate, build a relationship in order to pass it on to another alcoholic that's hurting. In order to practice principles of my life to the best of my ability. And I've literally stepped back and I've been an observer in this life the last few years. I've been observing, I've been watching this power do for me what I cannot do for myself, in awe of it. In awe of it. I'll tell you some stories, hopefully. Just in awe of it. I have a beautiful life today. I'm happy most of the time, not all the time. I have peace in my heart most of the time. In the storms of life, I get to tell the storms how big my God is most of the time. Most of the time. I used to be in short-term relationships all the time. Everyone always left me, rightfully so. I didn't know how to have proper human loving relationships. I took emotional hostages. I tortured people emotionally, mentally. So drowning in self, so consumed in self. I always thought I was ugly, man. Ashley and I are coming up to 12 years of marriage this May. She's a soldier of God. Beautiful woman she is on the outside and inside, man. I think Ashley's coming up to 15 years, I think. 2010, yeah? 2025, yeah. She's coming up to 15 years in August. Ashley. Ashley and I realized together that her and I both woke up because we had our issues too, and we woke up and we realized that we cannot have normal human romantic relationships like the normies have out there. We have to have a continuous spiritual experience with each other. What that means is that God better be in the center of this relationship, man. Either God is everything or this relationship is nothing. Right? And most of the time, I make it nothing, and I'll blame her. It's her fault. I've done it so many times. Well, not as much anymore, thank you. About 15 years ago, I believe, I can't remember, my brain's trying to protect me. I have to really sit down and think about timelines. I think my brain's trying to protect me from the trauma, whatever. Around 15 years ago was my last suicide attempt, let's say, I think. 14, 15 years ago, last suicide attempt. I didn't know what to do with this life that was given to me. This life here, I wanted to throw it away. I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I tried. 10 years ago, God gave us a baby boy. His name is Darius, and he's one of the best things in my life. And he's such a good boy. I honestly, I think God has a sense of humor with me. Sometimes I think like he's like, he thought to himself, what a selfish prick. Let me give him one of my other kids to take care of so he can get out of his self. I swear to God, that's what's happened. Darius is one of my best spiritual teachers. His kindness and innocence, his love. I get to be a dad. I get to pour the love that you pour into me into this boy and break the cycle. I get to make amends with my dad so I don't carry that baggage into this relationship. My wife is 53 now. She looks fantastic. She doesn't care if I tell her age. She looks really good. Spiritual life is a great health restorative. It says somewhere in the big book in the later pages. I'm 48. 3 years ago, Ashley had it in her heart that she wants to have another baby. We go to the doctor for in vitro. The doctor sits us down, and this happened with Darius too, but anyway, I'll tell you about. The doctor sits us down and says, don't waste your money. You have a little bit, honestly, with the help we're going to give you, you have a less than a 1% chance. I think he said 1% chance to have a healthy pregnancy. Don't waste your money. I'll never forget my wife's tears as they rolled down her cheek. Looked at the doctor and said, Doctor, you do whatever you got to do. Me and my husband will do what we do. Because you don't know the God that we know, do you? Because if he wants it, an army cannot stop it. My son Maximus is 14 months old now. At the age of 53, this lady gave birth. Loving God. Loving God. You cannot tell me that there isn't a God. I have so many examples in my own life, a personal relationship with this loving power, man. But I don't want anyone to mistake this, that I'm saying to you, God, I'm sharing God is good because my son was born, and both of my son, I have a wife and a house and a car, and God is good, because that would really make this program really cheap and shallow. Because if my sobriety and my serenity and my peace depended on what my ego wanted to get and God at the same, cheap. Because life is full of challenges sometimes. Life gets lifey sometimes. Life throws curveballs and boulders sometimes. And I'm so grateful that this program is a design for living that you taught me about. A design for living that works when life gets tough sometimes. Curveballs sometimes. Depression following from childhood into adulthood, into recovery, sponsoring people, praying, meditating, speaking here and there, transformed, experiencing transformation, sometimes depressed at home, can't get out of bed, feeling like a fraud, sponsoring people. feeling like I'm a loser, I'm a liar, can't find a job to help support. We still have financial insecurity. I do, but I just don't have the fears of it as much, right? One of the promises. Financial insecurity for the first few years of recovery. Can't find a job to help support a family properly. You know the alcoholic's head, right? You're not a real man. The voices in the head. The demons. You're a loser. You're not a real man. A man can support his family. You can't. You're digging ditches for 15 bucks an hour. You're a loser. The depression that follows that. I don't have to tell you about that. Yapsi and I, the love of my life, we got separated before. We almost got divorced once. All these valleys in life. What they've done, because you have introduced me to a path of meaning and purpose, not a path of Ali getting what he wants and saying God is good because of that. Man. Because you've introduced me to a path of meaning and purpose, all those valleys in life, they have brought me back to the table, a more humble being with God for a deeper experience. Every single time. I've become a more humble person. I've become a better messenger. I've become more compassionate to other people's pains. Because all the treasures in life, do you ever hear in the news, man was walking down the street, Rodeo Drive, and he found the treasure. Do you ever hear that? The treasures are found in the shipwrecks, in the mountains, in the mines, in the ruins of life. That's where they are. That's where the treasures are. What's the treasure? The treasure is that I'm in pain. I'm beyond the limitations of the horizons of my limitations in every single way you can imagine. I don't know. So I get humbled and I get on my knees. I'm like, God, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? I don't know how to be a husband. Can you help me? I'm tired of me, God. And then he starts to fill me. Different directions, different teachers, different stuff to do, different steps. He just starts to fill me. Why? Why? So I can become a channel and pass it on to the next person when they have that experience. That's the treasure in life. To be a servant, a deeper relationship with God in order to serve Him. That's the treasure that is found in the ruins. You don't see an apple tree picking up its own apples and eating it. The fruits of the apple tree are not for the tree. The fruits are for the passerbys. So the gifts that are given to me through these valleys, the deeper relationship with God, having a deep and effective and meaningful message sometimes, when I have the experience of it, that gift is not for me. It's given to me so I can pass it on and live a blissful life in the moment as I watch God use me like a vessel to help His other kids. Just like He does with you. I'm not saying I'm anything special. I'm just like, I have the mic now. That's all I'm sharing my experience. Just like He does with you. Do you ever see the apple tree worried about tomorrow? Regretting of the past? Do you see any other God's creatures ever do what we do? Fear and insecurity and wisdom? No. They're in the moment, in the present moment, living out their purpose automatically. So I get to live out my purpose. And when I get to live out my purpose from the gifts that God gives me, I get to be like an apple tree in the moment. With God, with love, right there. That's some powerful stuff, man. For me anyways. For me anyways. You know? I have learned I've had to breathe these steps and ingest them and digest them. They've had to become part of every single cell of the fiber of this body and this being. They've had to. A way of walking, a way of being, not a homework exercise to be graded. The steps is a way of life. Because I don't suffer from a drinking problem. I suffer from alcoholism. It is a soul sickness and a spiritual malady. In which on my own power, I'm always worried about what you think about me. I'm always discontented, irritable, and not satisfied. Always on my own power. But that's not the case for me today. because God is closer to me than breath on most days. And I'm aware and I'm awake with gratitude, with love in this moment, with you guys in this moment. And because that's all there is. That's all there is. And that's priceless. You can't buy this. What we have here, you can't buy. I tried to buy it. I just couldn't. You know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. For our newer friends, I'll end early. For our newer friends, because it's ending early. For our newer friends, for our visiting friends, uh, thank you for being here. I'm just gonna humbly make a suggestion. Only and only and only, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of being you. If that's the case, I suggest you say a prayer. Set aside everything that you know and you think you know. Get a sponsor, join a home group, and dive in this way of life. Dive in these steps. And after some time of chasing the light from the darkness, you'll realize that you are the light. The light is coming out of you. God bless you. Thank you very much for allowing me to share. And it's so nice as always to see the many friends like Anne and Jersey Jill and many, many other that I have met in this beautiful, beautiful pandemic era. Thank you.